Hey guys, you're watching Daniel and Gian talk, and today we're going to be doing a full review of the 2017 feature film Arjun Reddy.
Let's get right into it. What'd you think?
You and I have had this discussion / argument, or disagreement, not an argument so much, but a disagreement in the past, where I find it hard to watch films where your lead character is unsympathetic. At no point during the film was I ever like rooting for him because he was... For me, he was just...
I don't have any disagreements.
Such a prick the whole time. But that for me, makes it hard for me to finish movies because of that. Like, I get to a certain point where I just stop caring about the film itself.
I disagree that films can't be good if you don't like the main character. I will agree with you that this character was not developed properly, and it was in a weird way. Maybe properly is not the right way, but it was weird. Because at first, like, the first 20 minutes are really good. The way he's introduced, he's fucking an asshole, but he's a hard ass, but he's like kind of just machismo, as our mutual friend would say, right?
Well, I mean, he almost rapes a girl at knife point.
I'm not. Yes, I'm glad you brought that up, because this is actually my hope. This is why it was weird, because he was kind of tough, a bully, for lack of a better word. You know, literally at school saying like, "This is my girl. I'm claiming her." He's going to other classrooms and telling people like to stay the fuck away in Telugu, so like the teachers and staff don't understand. So he's being this larger than life figure. Now, initially I didn't know like what he would... Actually, throughout the whole film, I still don't understand like what gave him the balls to do that.
Right.
Like why people were so willing to accept him in this role.
Right.
You know, was it his wealth and different caste? Is that why? Like, and it was just never really mentioned?
I mean, I think part of it was like he had a reputation for having a terrible temper and going to the extreme.
But is it the caste situation too, though? Because I think that's why the father didn't want them.
Well, that's exactly why he didn't want them together. I mean, he says it when he kicks him off out of the house. Like, I want my daughter to marry someone. It's been my dream to marry my daughter off to someone in my same caste.
Well, is that like this unspoken thing that?
I feel like, but at school, I don't think that was the issue.
But
I think for me, the reason why there was such a level of respect for him or fear was because he had
followed through on everything he said.
He'd shown he was ready to willing to go. He was Arjun Reddy to go to that level of craziness that like people are like, okay.
We established that in the beginning, right? We don't doubt it. I didn't doubt that. But then some weird shit happened, and then the movie kind of forgot about this hard side about him. For like the first 20 minutes, he was pretty hard and tough, and then when he goes, when Holly's happening, and then his girlfriend like gets fondled because it didn't seem like anything else other than that happened. And he goes over there with the bat, and you think, okay, some shit's about to go down. Like he's already beat these fucking guys up at the soccer field and all this stuff. And then he punks them, beats the shit out of him. Everyone's like, stop, stop, stop. And then at the end of the scene, when the guy's like on the floor and he basically is like, fuck you, like I'm gonna be me, like you get the fuck out of here. He starts crying. He starts crying with his girlfriend, and it was so unlike his character that we had set up before. Now some people could say, well, that's his human side. That's like, but from that point on, all you saw was his softer side.
Right.
In little pieces did you see him get mad, you know.
I mean, I guess you could make...
But it was all gone after that.
You could make the argument that he was controlling himself now more because of the girl.
But there was nothing, in my opinion, that led him to that point to where now he's going to be super emotional.
Right.
So for me, when you talk about character and you can't relate to it, like that was my biggest thing, is like, why even set him up as this guy that's such a hard ass and then forget about it when you could have easily have sprinkled that hard assness throughout the film? I feel like there's totally situations where...
I mean, he did slap her.
But that was, what, fucking 2 hours into a 3-hour movie?
About halfway point, yeah.
But that's my point. Like, he could have beat the shit out of the dad, the fucking brothers, friends.
I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit disappointed he didn't beat the shit out of the dad, but that was him trying to be respectful.
But that's what the movie set up.
Yeah.
That's what.
No, absolutely, it was inconsistent.
So like for me, I couldn't relate to it because I could never figure him out but not in a way where it's like, this guy's a mystery.
Well, the time jumps also didn't help as well. Like it was kind of.
and I don't even know if they were 100% necessary too, but just in terms of that character, and then for as developed and as how much time they took, that girl had no fucking character at all. Like no development. You don't know anything about her. She's fucking literally like a second-class citizen. Like there's no like in Rot, you kind of get why they like each other.
Right.
You get her side, you get her opinion. She's a human being with a fucking working brain. This girl.
No, it felt like she just got forced into this relationship by this older, aggressive guy.
She did.
And then she just went with. She's like, but I love him.
She got like fucking Stockholm syndrome.
And it wasn't like explained either. Like it wasn't like she got her cherry popped by this guy, so that was the attachment kind of deal. That wasn't like really.
You don't know anything.
No,
like at all.
She was just there. She was just there, and she was like a helpless victim, depending on him the entire time.
The whole time.
As well, yeah. It was a weak character. She was just there. She was just like. She was just a reason for him to go crazy.
Okay, well, like, because...
Here's the problem. Let's
not when you got a fucking supermodel actress who's on your nuts.
Right.
And he's so in love, but we never established, like, her character. Like, it's like you said, you don't really care about the guy enough to, like, feel bad for him.
He was in so much pain, and that's the problem. Like,
but I can relate to that, though.
No, listen.
Their time frame and,
like... The things that happened to him, yes. But himself, the character, never gets developed enough where at any point you're like, like I don't care that he's heartbroken over this girl. Like he gave up so easily. Number one, he tried to fucking kill himself immediately. Because she didn't call him in the fucking 6-hour time,
that's what
like it's like the thing that
who does that?
Yeah, like listen, like you grew up in India, bro. You know how this shit works, and you're gonna tell me like you're not gonna give her at least a few days to try to smooth things out and get and try to work things out with their parents? No, you're just like fuck you. You got 6 hours. I'm gonna try to kill myself.
I want to take it back because we started off negative as always. But
that's my fault because we don't have to get to the end of the review for you guys to know that I wasn't a huge fan of this film.
What it's missing though is the trials and tribulations of his character, like him actually making conscious decisions and then failing, and then that's how you start to sympathize with the guy or empathize or whatever word because sympathy is not really a good. You never want to be sympathetic to a character. You want to be, you have empathy for them. Because you don't want to feel bad for these people.
Well, you want to relate to him.
Yes.
In somewhere.
And so like there were moments where I was relating to the guy. Like the time frame didn't bother me because you can totally be stuck on a woman.
Absolutely.
And then still be stuck on them 6 months later and not want to do any not want to move on with your life.
Let me ask you something here.
Plus he's young.
How would you have felt if the film was linear?
The whole flashback element didn't add anything to the story.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it was necessary. I think one of the problems I had with the jumping back and forth as well is like it wasn't that much time that they were jumping, but it made it feel like where I was questioning like how long ago did this happen? Because when we get to the end of the film, you're like, wait a second.
Other than their relationship, this whole thing's taking place in like 8 months.
Yeah, exactly. And it feels like, and it made it seem like it'd been years or something when it wasn't that long at all. Which is, it was just a little off-putting for me. But there was stuff I liked for sure. Like there was
cinematography was beautiful. That's one of my things, and the sound was not bad. I was expecting it to be god awful and shitty, because unfortunately, Southern films, more often than not, the ones that I've seen, have terrible audio.
Well, it wasn't an action film, so that might have been part of it.
But even still, because everything was still ADR'd here, but they bothered to put in background noise. I mean, that's what I complained about in Ratsasan. The whole fucking movie was ADR'd,
right,
but they didn't bother to put in birds and fucking cars going by and like treating it like a movie, creating a soundscape. This movie did that.
Right.
So that will hide those, the
right,
ADR moments.
There was moments in here where I was like reminded of Angamali Diaries. So yeah. I think parts of it, like I think that seeing these things made my expectations go up since I liked that one so much. And then when it didn't kind of pay off the way that Angamali Diaries did. I think
because this film...
And I know it's a different region, guys.
This film started off so strong that maybe I'm projecting this onto you, but I was expecting it to go darker and darker. And
right,
not in terms of like, it did go darker, it went to drugs. No, I mean like fucking killing people, beating more people up, some gang warfare shit. I mean, they're not in gangs,
I remember the trailer.
Like,
when we watched the trailer, it seemed like it was real
this
rough.
Tough guy, which that was like the first 20 minutes of the movie, and then it disappeared, and it turned into like a male romance film. I mean, really, when you think about it, because it was a romance film, but you didn't see any of the girl's side. You just saw his side.
Right.
But then at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's a romance film. I don't care what anyone says. That's what I would classify this movie as. It's a love story. The movie could have easily went down darker and deeper paths. The filmmaker knew what he was doing. I mean, he fucking put Goodfellas like on one of the scenes. Like, so he clearly understood. Like, he's a filmmaker. He likes films. You know, it's not like he's just doing this because he's such and such son and fucking whatever. I'll just do it. And he might be. I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, he clearly had influences somewhere. And I think,
well, I mean,
he was willing to have him smoke weed. He was willing to have him do drugs. He was willing to have him to do this. But it could have went farther. It could have went deeper. And then once you go in that Syrot territory of, like, really going there, then this movie could have really been something else. Yeah. Whereas now, it's kind of like skirts the line where, like, it kind of goes deep. Like, him with the beginning, the knife with the chick. Yeah. Starting off strong like that, and how that never gets brought up ever at any point. Like, it never gets brought up at all. And it's never a repeated behavior, so it was, like, really weird to throw that in there because it was showing the audience what he's capable of. Right. I mean, he didn't do anything, but he was willing to go there mentally.
It was those little bits and pieces that made his character seem deeper than he really was.
But they didn't go deep. That's the issue.
That's what I'm saying. It gave the facade that this guy was going to be a very deep, fleshed out, like, person.
And it could have, and if it did go there, we're talking about this could have been, in my opinion, an amazing film.
There was cool little moments throughout the film. Like when he goes nuts at the wedding and they're beating the shit out of him.
Yeah. And he comes back twice.
But his buddy picks up the pot and he was like, if you guys don't stop beating him, I'm gonna smash this pot on this old man.
He's gonna kill the old man.
And everyone's like, all right, let him go. Like, whoa.
I mean, that was cool. There's a lot of moments I liked.
There's that quick scene where the dude flies in from London and he's trying to be like all bro-ish with his guys.
Oh, and then he talks shit about the region, and then they both gang up on him.
Well, the whole thing was like, he was like, hey man, you sure you want this guy marrying your sister? We don't talk about women that way. And they're just talking.
Oh, because he's talking about air hostesses? Like she was fat or something?
Right, exactly. Even though earlier he made that, he'd say, hey, I'm going to make you best friends with this fat girls because those are the only girls.
Oh, yeah. I want my woman to be best friends with the fat girl because what did he say?
Fat girls will take care of you. They'll be loyal and they won't put any fucking ideas in your head. But back to the scene.
It wasn't even supposed to be funny. I don't think.
No, not at all. I don't know if the scene with the brother-in-law, like the future brother-in-law, was supposed to be funny either.
I think it is.
It was hilarious. I thought it was hilarious. But like all of it, the best parts of it were like they were sitting there talking about the guy without like even talking to him. Just
he was right there.
Yeah, he was right there, and he was like, "Hey guys, are you talking about? I'm right here, guys. Whatever." And they're just going back and forth, And then when he says the shit about like the region where they're from, they're like, "What?" And they both get up.
Both like, bitch. I mean, there's moments in the movie that I enjoyed, like when he actually gets high, and they do some sound design. Like that's why I said the filmmaker knew what he was doing. Yeah. I just think, in my opinion, the film could have went deeper in other places.
I don't think on a technical level it was bad at all.
When he gets high,
the decisions on the editing and not editing, but the
cutting down, killing babies, like condensing the story, making it tight, making it more impactful. He gets high, and there's like I think they're playing a Rihanna song, or they're playing some song like in the background. Which, again, we talked about this before the review, but the amount of American music in this is surprising. Right. Because I just rights clearances and all that stuff. But anyway.
It's not just American music, man. They had songs in Spanish.
Yeah, Spanish songs too. Exactly. Yes. But camera's like pushing in on him. He's like laying on the bed. He's already fucking gone. Yeah. And then the camera's like, it goes completely upside down.
Which is crazy.
Which is interesting. Yeah. And, it's very metaphorical. His life is upside down. It's literally, that's visual language telling you that. But what I enjoyed about that scene wasn't that. It was the sound design because outside you can hear the bump, bump, bump. And even in the room, it's just like coming through. And then as soon as he hits it up, it starts going like the fucking demon.
Right.
But then it cuts back outside, and the outside's like pumping, it's blasting, and that's when the wife or future wife comes in. And, they're like in different spots or whatever. But just little moments like that are really impactful because it's using the medium properly, in my opinion. But let's get into some subscriber questions. We have some user submitted questions. So I'm going to give some context to this. This question has to do with the scene at the end of the movie where he's in front of like the medical board, and he's like, because he was drunk during all these procedures and stuff. The film lifted a couple of scenes from the movie Flight. How do you feel about directors trying to copy scenes from other films and manage them to make it seem relevant to the narrative? I'm a huge Denzel fan, but it took me off the film when I saw it. And then he says, then I realized that both Flight and Arjun Reddy have similar themes and somewhat similar character studies. I rooted for Denzel in Flight, but for Arjun Reddy, I was kind of in the middle.
Full disclosure, I've never seen Flight. But for the
I can comment on that.
First part of the question, I think that filmmakers steal from filmmakers all the time. That's just a part of it, and I think good filmmakers do that. The best filmmakers do it without you like realizing that they do it.
There's a quote that I always say from Francis Ford Coppola. This is not verbatim, but the theme, the whole, like, if you were to summarize it into a sentence, it's the only way art can survive is if you continue to steal it. But by virtue of you stealing things, because if you shoot things word for word, exactly the same way,
it's still gonna come out
theft.
different.
No, that's theft. If you try to, rewrite The Godfather, but it's your own spin on it, it's your own thing, it's not The Godfather anymore. It's what you did, and so now it becomes its own thing.
And there's also a difference between theft and homage.
Exactly. I mean, Tarantino's lifted so many things.
Tarantino's entire career
is lifting.
If you talk to anybody like over the age of fucking 50. That's the first they talk shit about Tarantino right away.
But Spielberg does it too.
Right.
I mean, the more you're familiar with cinema, the more you can start to see these references. Scorsese, I mean, everybody does it.
I mean, that famous Star Wars, the real famous end scene in A New Hope is Triumph of the Will.
Yep. Lenny Riefenstahl, 100%. So I've seen Flight, and that scene where he's like admits like, yeah, I was drunk this whole time, and da-da-da. Yeah, it's like. It was to the point where I'm like, man, I want to rewatch that scene in Flight because I think the dialogue might be the same or very similar to it. Like, genuinely, like I didn't even know he was going to ask this, but I was thinking about that too. I was going to bring that up later, actually, the Flight thing. But did it ruin the movie? No, because it was also his character to be drunk the whole time. But you don't really see him be a doctor very often, which is another thing when we talk about characters. Like, we don't really see him doing what his whole profession is, We don't see him in the operating room save for a few times throughout the movie.
And it was like, I had no idea. I feel
that could have been the trials and tribulations of him being a doctor and him being drunk and him fucking up because he's so depressed about.
And it was such an important aspect to the film itself. Like,
that's how they met. Like,
yeah, but it wasn't. It didn't feel important, and it should have been. Like, that was part of his reasoning. Like, why is your dad so against me marrying you? I'm a fucking surgeon. You know?
I have
money. He's so bent on the. And apparently, it seemed like his family had more money than this guy's family did, and he knew it because he told him. He's like, oh yeah, you guys are wealthy, whatever, you're well off, that's fine. But the casting was what was separating them.
Yeah.
But that was something you totally could have played up. That this guy was successful. He did all these things. He was doing better than you, but you still.
But he's the bad boy.
I'm completely okay with you guys in the comments section saying we don't understand the whole casting because we don't.
But we're starting to pick up on
it. I feel like we're starting to know a little bit of it.
Once I started to think of caste, race in America.
I think it's more like we know like 5 or 6 words in a different language kind of deal.
So that are more than swear words?
Yeah, so we're able to go to the bathroom and order a sandwich. That didn't feel like a big part of the film, and it should have been.
And it could have been.
It could have been.
And it just might be one of those things that you could, I'm just going to throw this out there because I'm just making it up, I don't know. Maybe the way they were dressed, or maybe the way, like maybe where they were specifically in terms of where the school was, maybe you could pick up on this stuff without even saying anything.
Right.
Like if you set a movie here in America in the streets of Detroit in 2019, that's going to say something about the characters without even having to say anything about it's in Detroit. So it could be the same thing here. We just don't know, but we're learning.
All I know is my dude rolled up in a brand new BMW.
BMW, yeah.
You know, clean ass white one.
After he got his bike taken away, he ended up in a fucking BMW. But yet he couldn't, like, he got kicked out of his apartment, had to go live on the streets. Second question is, why do you think the girl fell for him in the film? He is not a likable character at all. And then he lists the reasons. He fat shames her classmate. He seems to have false pride in his caste, which is totally wrong, since caste is one thing which you get by accident. And finally, he is selfish.
I think we kind of addressed that earlier, but we don't. I don't really know. We don't really know why she fell for him. The only thing I can tell you is that she was young, and he popped her cherry, and up to this point, it was the only person she's ever had sex with.
But she was kind of falling for him before the sex.
Absolutely, because he was there taking care of her, you know.
Maybe that's why.
I mean, that's...
Maybe because he defended her after she got touched.
I mean, I'm not a woman, but I could tell you, and I don't want to speak for women all over the world, but
you're going to.
I could tell... I am going to right now. I could tell you that, from my experience, women like the bad boy, and no matter what you do, you know, they as long as you don't, like... And even if you do treat them like shit, you know, they still come around because there's that project, like, I can fix him. I see the redeemable qualities
you don't understand.
in him.
You don't understand, girls. Like, I've had intimate moments with him, so I know.
Right, exactly. I see who he really is on the inside.
And that's true for some people.
And I mean, it does.
Some people change, and some people.
It happens, and we got to that certain point where he wasn't being a dick as much. You know?
At all.
To her, he wasn't being a dick at all.
Until the 6-hour ultimatum came in.
Exactly. Like,
but even then, it ended up having a happy ending. But let's talk about the ending, though. It's a happy ending. Do you feel like this character deserved a happy ending? Like, do you feel like they deserve to live happily ever after? Or do you think it would have been a better served to maybe get a Sirot-style ending where maybe he fucking died by the guy he was beating up the whole fucking movie or something like that? You know, like, fucking, what's his name? Al Pacino in...
Carlito's Way.
Carlito's Way,
right.
You know? Where, like, he's kind of getting his shit together, and then, boom, gets killed in the subway.
And the young punk that he would have, you know, he got old.
Yep.
And the young buck took him out. The young shark took out the old shark.
I like the way it ended, I'm not going to lie.
At any point, do you feel like he redeemed himself to earn that? That's the key. If he did something, if at some point he redeemed himself, then it's okay.
He stopped doing drugs, but I don't know how that redeems. He shaved his beard.
Is that the most he did? Like, did he have a moment of realization? Like, he realized, you know, I mean, I guess his grandmother, that could actually be it. His grandmother passing away, someone who was near and dear to him,
which will change you sometimes.
Yeah,
if you lose the right person, that can
like,
change your
reconciling with his father over this loss, and then that was the motivating factor to get himself to clean up his life. You know, it's a weird spot because did he really do anything to not deserve a happy ending as well?
Not really.
No, it's like he never...
He didn't kill anybody.
I think that's the problem.
He beat some people up, but
right.
He didn't really, like...
I think, well, and you could make the argument that the people he beat up, it wasn't
deserved
like...
to beat up.
Exactly. So, the problem with this character throughout the film is that he's teetering the line the entire time, and he's never consistently one thing or the other. So, you just...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I don't know how to interpret him.
Yeah.
But not in a way where I'm like, he's so human. He's just living in
Exactly.
gray. Like, it just felt like, okay, the writer-director was like, okay, this is the scene where he's going to do drugs and get a little dark. Okay, this is the scene where he's going to, as opposed to, this is a living, breathing guy who's doing all of these things.
Right.
But let's go to ratings. What would you rate this film? I know I'm going to have a higher rating than you, but I'm curious to know what you'd put it at.
It looked nice. You know, technically, it was technically sound. The guy knows what he's doing. The character itself was just not, you know, we have guys someone emailing us about it, you know, pretty much in agreement with me.
Well, would you put a number on it?
That's what it's tough. Like, I mean, I'm going to piss people off regardless. I'd probably give it, like, because of all the technical stuff, I'm going to give it a 6.
That's higher than I thought. I thought you were going to say 4.
No, 4 means, like, I think it's a piece of shit.
Okay, fair
enough.
It
wasn't a piece of shit, but on a story level, like, I couldn't get past some of the stories.
I'm at a solid 7. Solid 7. What I enjoyed, I really enjoyed. And then what I didn't enjoy, I was like, man, this could have, like, why is this here? Like, either A, it could have been left on the editing room floor, been a good deleted scene or something.
Right.
You know, and then I just wanted more. I just wanted more. I didn't want more runtime. I just wanted the character to do more. Because they did set up in my opinion, an interesting guy. Like, I think his character doing all this shit, being this fucking no-nonsense guy, is interesting. I think they just could have went farther. I think they could have pushed that boundary more.
For me, he could have been more interesting.
Yeah, but I'm saying if you would have taken more of a Scorsese approach, like your influencers, the people you like, because I was reading that the director made him watch like all of these movies so he can get this, like The Godfather and all these gangster films, so he could have this like persona, this bravado about him where he's like this no-nonsense guy. And in my mind, when I read that, I'm like, fuck, man, if only you would have went down those paths that those films went down, and not to copy them, but just Goodfellas, they went places. They were willing to go fucking push boundaries. And you know, I've mentioned Sirot 15 times because that's the one movie that surprised me because it went there. That movie was a love story, but it didn't hold back any punches. It was still sweet. It still had its fucking melodramatic song moments that I didn't care for, but it went there. It killed everybody.
Yeah.
Like fucking
it took it to a level that I was not expecting and left me like...
We're still talking about that movie.
Exactly.
We're still using it as a frame of reference.
I might, honestly, and not just Indian films, that might be one of the most brutal endings I've ever seen in any film.
Any film.
Yeah.
Because it was willing to go there. And I think this director's capable of having the balls to do this. That's why I don't hate him. I don't hate the movie. I have no, like, it's just... I hope maybe on this remake that he's doing, the Hindi remake, maybe he does have more, because he mentioned that in the Hindi version he's going to have no restrictions. I don't know what that means. Maybe he's learned by watching his previous one.
Might be financial stuff.
I don't know, but I'm just saying. Either way. So for me, a solid 7. For you, a 6. I think that's pretty fair.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, guys. That's going to do it for us. You know the drill. Smash that like button. Subscribe, ring the bell if you are a subscriber already, and check out our other review this week. Laksha, I believe it's called. Is it Lakshmi?
No, Lakshmi is like, I have no aim.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Got it. Laksha.
Laksha, yeah.
But we'll see you next time.